Her message came in clipped and rushed, like she was already half gone. Can't talk right now. Swamped. I'll call you later. I stared at the screen longer than I should have, thumb hovering over the reply box, knowing I'd get nothing if I pushed. She had been too busy a lot lately. Too busy to answer calls. Too busy to finish sentences. Too busy to notice how quiet I'd become. A few seconds later, another notification popped up. A live photo. She must have sent it by accident. At first glance, it was harmless. Her face filled the frame, angled slightly down, hair tucked behind one ear, lips curved in a small smile. She looked relaxed in a way I hadn't seen in months. Not tired. Not distracted. Just light. Then the photo moved. A second of motion. A flicker of sound. And behind her, clear as day, a man laughed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't exaggerated. Just an easy, unguarded laugh, close enough that it felt intimate. Like he was sitting right beside her. Like he belonged in the space she'd claimed she didn't have time to share with me. My chest tightened so fast it felt physical. I replayed it. Again. And again. Each time hoping the sound would change, that my ears had betrayed me. It didn't. I locked my phone and set it down, palms flat on the kitchen counter, breathing slowly the way I did when my anxiety started to spiral. The apartment smelled like leftover pasta and cleaning spray. Ordinary. Safe. Wrong. I told myself there was an explanation. A coworker passing by. Background noise. Anything that didn't end with the word betrayal. But the laugh wasn't distant. It was warm. Familiar. Comfortable. I picked the phone back up and typed, "Who's that?" 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Finally, "What are you talking about?" "The live photo." A long pause. "I didn't mean to send that," she wrote. My throat felt dry. "I know. That's why I'm asking." Minutes passed. I imagined her staring at her phone the way I was, deciding how much truth I could handle. Or how little she could get away with. "It's just someone from work," she said. "We were in a meeting." I replayed the laugh again, softer this time. "That doesn't sound like a meeting." "You're overthinking," she replied. "I really can't do this right now." And just like that, the conversation ended. No call. No reassurance. Just silence, heavy and deliberate. That night, she came home late. Later than usual. I pretended to be asleep, though every muscle in my body was tense. I felt the mattress dip as she climbed into bed, careful not to wake me. The space between us felt wider than ever, like an invisible wall had been built without my consent. I lay there staring into the dark, listening to her breathing, wondering how long that laugh had been living in our life without me noticing. The next morning, I watched her move around the kitchen, humming softly, phone always face down. She kissed my cheek before leaving, a quick brush of lips that felt more like habit than affection. "Busy day," she said. "Yeah," I replied. "Mine too." I started noticing things I'd ignored before. How she angled her screen away from me. How she stepped into the bathroom to answer calls. How her smile appeared more often when she was texting than when she was talking to me. I didn't confront her again. Not yet. I needed to understand what I was dealing with. I needed proof, even though a part of me already knew. One evening, while she showered, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I didn't pick it up. I just looked at the screen. A name I recognized. Daniel. The same coworker she mentioned more than anyone else. The one who got her when work was stressful. The one whose name now carried weight it never should have. The message preview lit up briefly. "Still laughing about earlier." My hands shook as I sat back down on the bed. I felt like I was shrinking inside myself, becoming smaller to make room for a truth that was too large to ignore. When she came out of the bathroom, towel wrapped around her hair, she smiled like nothing was wrong. "You're quiet," she said. "So are you," I replied. She paused, just for a second. Then she shrugged. "Long day." I nodded, though my chest ached. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I stared at the ceiling, replaying the live photo over and over in my mind. The laugh. The ease. The intimacy that didn't belong to me anymore. By morning, I knew I couldn't keep pretending. The not knowing was eating me alive. Whatever was happening, I was already standing in the wreckage. Part 2. I waited until the weekend. Until the apartment was quiet and there were no excuses to escape. She was sitting on the couch scrolling through her phone when I finally spoke. "Can we talk?" I asked. She looked up, wary. "About what?" "You know about what." She sighed and set her phone aside, though she kept it close. "I told you, you're reading too much into things." I sat across from her, hands clasped together. "I heard him." Her eyes flicked away. "You heard a sound." "I heard a man laughing," I said. "Right next to you." Silence stretched between us. The hum of the refrigerator. A car passing outside. Normal sounds in a moment that felt anything but. "It wasn't like that," she said quietly. "Then what was it like?" I asked. She rubbed her temples. "I didn't plan for it to become this." My heart sank. Not because of the words themselves, but because of how easily they came. "How long?" I asked. She hesitated. That pause told me everything. "A few months." I let out a breath that felt like it had been trapped in my lungs for weeks. "And the live photo?" She swallowed. "A mistake." "No," I said softly. "The mistake was everything before that." Tears filled her eyes. "I never meant to hurt you." I laughed once, bitter and hollow. "You didn't mean not to." She reached for my hand, and this time I let her touch me. Her fingers were warm. Familiar. It hurt more than if they'd been cold. "I was lonely," she said. "You felt so far away." "I was right here," I said. "Every day." She shook her head. "You were tired. Quiet. I didn't know how to reach you. So you reached for someone else." She nodded, shame written across her face. "He made me feel seen." The words landed hard. I thought about all the times I'd asked how her day was, all the small efforts I made that apparently hadn't been enough. "Do you love him?" I asked. She didn't answer immediately. When she did, her voice was barely above a whisper. "I don't know." That was worse than yes. I stood up and walked to the window, staring out at the city lights. Everything looked the same, yet nothing felt recognizable. "Did you ever plan to tell me?" I asked. "I was afraid," she said. "Afraid of losing you." I turned back to her. "You already did." We sat there for a long time, neither of us knowing what to say next. There were no dramatic accusations. No shouting. Just the quiet collapse of something we'd built together. "I ended it," she said finally. "When?" I asked. "After you confronted me," she replied. "I realized I couldn't keep lying." I nodded slowly. "I don't know if that matters." She flinched. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying trust doesn't come back just because the truth finally shows up," I said. That night, we slept in separate rooms. I lay awake listening to the unfamiliar silence, realizing how much noise her presence used to make in my life. Even her breathing felt like proof that we were still connected. Without it, everything felt empty. In the morning, I packed a bag. Not out of anger. Out of necessity. She stood in the doorway watching me. "Are you leaving?" "I need time," I said, "to figure out who I am without lies filling the space." She nodded, tears spilling freely now. "I'm sorry." "I know," I said. "But sorry doesn't rewind moments. It doesn't erase laughter I wasn't part of." I walked to the door and paused, hand on the handle. "That live photo," I said. "It didn't just show me another man. It showed me how disconnected we'd become." She didn't try to stop me. Outside, the air felt colder, sharper. My chest ached, but beneath the pain was something steady. Clarity. Painful, undeniable clarity. I didn't know if we'd find our way back to each other. I only knew I couldn't keep living in the dark. Pretending a laugh in the background didn't change everything. And as I walked away, the ache followed me. But so did the truth. She was already sitting on the couch when I walked into the living room, knees tucked under her, phone resting face down on the cushion beside her. The TV was on, but muted. A familiar habit. Noise without meaning. She looked up when she heard me and gave a small, cautious smile, the kind she used when she sensed a storm but hoped it might pass her by. "You're pacing," she said. "What's wrong?" I stood near the doorway, suddenly unsure where to put myself in a room that used to feel like home. "We need to talk." Her shoulders tensed, just a fraction. "About what?" I didn't sit. I didn't move closer. "About the live photo." Her eyes flicked toward the phone, then back to me. "I told you, it was nothing." "It wasn't nothing to me," I said. My voice stayed calm, but my chest felt tight, like I was holding something fragile and heavy at the same time. "I heard him. Clear as day." She looked down at her hands. For a long moment, she didn't speak. The silence stretched, thick and uncomfortable, filling every corner of the room. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this," she said finally. The words hit harder than I expected. Not because they were dramatic, but because they were honest in a way she hadn't been lately. "So it is something." She nodded, slowly. "Yes." I sat down across from her, the space between us feeling wider than the couch itself. "Who is he?" She swallowed. "Daniel. From work." I let out a quiet breath. I already knew the name, but hearing it spoken aloud made it real in a way it hadn't been before. "How long?" She hesitated, and that hesitation told me more than any number could. "A few months." I stared at the floor, noticing a faint scratch in the wood I couldn't remember being there. Everything felt unfamiliar, like I was seeing our life through someone else's eyes. "So when you said you were too busy to talk, you weren't." She shook her head, tears forming now. "I didn't know how to balance it. I didn't know how to tell you." "You found a way to tell him," I said quietly. She flinched. "I was lonely." The words sat between us, heavy and sharp. "So was I," I replied. "But I didn't go looking for someone else." She looked up at me then, really looked, like she was seeing the damage clearly for the first time. "I didn't mean to replace you." "That doesn't change the fact that you did," I said. She reached for my hand, hesitated, then pulled back when I didn't move. "He made me feel alive. Like I wasn't invisible." I nodded slowly, even though every part of me ached. "And what did I make you feel?" She opened her mouth, then closed it again. That silence was an answer all on its own. "I didn't plan for it to go this far," she said. "It just happened." "It always just happens," I replied. "Until someone gets hurt." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I'm sorry." I believed her. That was the worst part. "When did you end it?" I asked. "After the photo," she said. "After you asked about it." I realized I couldn't keep lying. I looked at her, trying to measure what that meant. "Did you end it because it was wrong, or because you got caught?" Her face crumpled. She didn't answer. That night, we didn't sleep in the same room. I lay awake listening to the quiet, realizing how used I'd become to the sound of her breathing beside me. Without it, the apartment felt hollow. Too big. Too empty. In the morning, I made coffee out of habit. 2 cups. I stared at them for a long moment before pushing one away. She stood in the doorway watching me, eyes red, shoulders slumped. "Are you leaving?" she asked. "I don't know," I said honestly. "But I can't stay like this." She nodded, wiping her face. "I understand." I packed a bag slowly. Not in anger. Not in a rush. Each folded shirt felt like an acknowledgement of something ending, even if I didn't know what would come next. At the door, I paused. She stood a few feet behind me, hands clasped, waiting. "That laugh," I said without turning around. "It keeps replaying in my head. Not because of who it belonged to, but because it reminded me of how far away you already were." She didn't try to stop me. She didn't say my name. When I stepped outside, the air felt colder, sharper against my skin. My chest ached with a dull, constant pain, but beneath it was something steady. A clarity I hadn't had in months. I didn't know if our marriage was over. I didn't know if time could repair what trust had broken. I only knew I couldn't ignore the truth anymore. As I walked down the steps, the ache followed me. But so did the certainty that pretending would have hurt more in the long run. And for the first time since that live photo moved and revealed what it wasn't meant to, I felt like I was finally walking toward something honest.